Well, I'm really happy to be back for another video. I feel like, well, it's not that I feel like it's been like 2 months since the last video, and I apologize for that to everyone who's pretty consistent checking out this channel. Everybody that has subscribed to this channel, I really appreciate it. I always read all of the comments that I get on this channel, especially the ones with questions, or a nice message, and I always try to reply back. So thank you guys. And for anyone who is their first time on this channel, I really appreciate if you help me out with subscribing into this channel, especially if you like this type of content. And I know I'm doing this a lot, so sorry. But in the video of today, I want to talk about why I think that you should be adapting vintage lenses into your Nikon camera. And I'm gonna be a little bit more specific, and I'm gonna say that I think you should be adapting Nikon vintage lenses into your Nikon camera. I feel like they pair very well. And don't take me wrong, I think that there's so many vintage lenses. I've tried Minolta lenses in the past. Canon has really cool vintage lenses, and there's so many cool vintage lenses out there that you could adapt into your Nikon system. I personally use my vintage lenses on my film cameras, but I also adapt them into my Nikon C8 and the Nikon C6 II. They obviously can be adapted to any Nikon C system, and they can be adapted to DSLR cameras. If you have a Nikon C system or you have a Nikon camera, you should be able to adapt any of the Nikon vintage lenses. And when I talk about vintage lenses, I talk about lenses like this. Let's see, lenses like this one that I have right here, that they're like 20, 30, some of them are even close to 40 years old. And those are the lenses that I consider to be vintage. The ones that are pre autofocus. I have some autofocus lenses that are like, I don't know, like 10 years old. Um, but I don't consider those necessarily vintage. I mean, something 10 years old, 12 years old, where there's already autofocus, might be considered vintage for some people, but not for me. Um, I have a bunch of vintage lenses right here. I actually have four, five, six. I have seven vintage lenses right here, and the ones that I'm gonna be showing you, they're some of my favorite ones. Or well, the reason that they're my favorite ones is because I've had some others in the past that I haven't been like a big fan of, and I just gave away or I just sold them. But one of the best that I would recommend is this 105, is the 105 2.5 aperture. This lens right here, I hope you can see it. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little, has a little bit of dust right there. But this lens, it's awesome. It just produces really, really cool looking pictures. It's a soft lens. Most of these vintage lenses are gonna have a soft look. A lot of people tend to think that soft is bad, but I don't. I think that it just gives a really cool look, like some photographers say. It brings character into your photography. And if you're doing video, I know this may sound dumb for some people, but using vintage lenses, it will not automatically, but it will definitely make your videos more cinematic. What I mean to this is that it's gonna bring that movie look. When you look at a movie like, let's say, a popular movie like The Joker, or movies that are like nominated to the Oscars. One of my favorite movies is Whiplash. That's one of my favorite movies, and the look that picture that movie has is not the sharpest. The color grading is great, the just the look of that movie is great, and I feel like these lenses, this type of vintage lenses, will give you a really interesting look. And again, if you're doing video, it's gonna give you that cinematic look, and if you're doing photography, it's gonna give you just a really nice background, the bokeh or bokeh, however you want to call it. It's just gonna look really pretty, and your subject is gonna look also soft but not out of focus. I hope that makes sense. I have another one right here. Is the same lens as the 105. This is a 2.5. Let's see. Hope it focuses. There you go. There you have it. This lens is beautiful, beautiful, and I have a lot of samples with these lenses. I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you all of the samples with these lenses, but I'm gonna do my best to give you some idea of how pictures look with each one of these lenses. Again, if I had to choose between these two lenses, I mean, it's gonna be hard to find either one anyway, but I will get this one, the pre AI. This is the 105 2.5, and it just it gives you like really, really beautiful photos and video again. This one right here, it's a really popular lens amongst photographers. This is the Nikon 50 millimeter 1.8, and this is the series E. This lens, it's a classic on the photography world. I use it a lot with the Nikon F100. That's one of the cameras I use for film photography, and just the way that this lens looks is beautiful. I'm gonna put it on this camera in a minute, and that way you can kind of compare how each one looks when you're using a vintage lenses. Again, this is the series E. If you find this lens, which it's not that hard to find, it should be actually kind of easy, I will consider you a really lucky person. This is a great lens. I love this lens. It's a 50, so it's very versatile. So if you find it, keep it, don't give it away. And then I have other ones like this fisheye lens. This is an 8 millimeter fisheye lens. It's crazy. This lens is just so crazy. I have very few. I use it very few times paired with this camera, but when I've used it, it just gives it obviously a really unique look. And it's one that if I find it, I will keep it in your arsenal. It's kind of plasticky, but it's also a heavy lens, so it's well built. I don't know about the glass, how good of a quality it is, but it gives a really good image quality. Again, it just looks really good. And something that you have to have in mind is that all of these vintage lenses, I'm gonna bet that most, if not all, vintage lenses, they're full frame lenses, so you're not gonna have the problem of them not fitting into your camera. So if you're using a crop sensor camera, or if you're using a full frame camera like the C8, the C6, the C7, the C5, even the C50, which is a crop sensor, and again a DSLR, you should be able to adapt them and be used. Again, lenses that have electronics on them and they're not vintage lenses, they're not manual lenses. You might have problems with them when it comes to being able to change the aperture. So make sure that when you're again looking for vintage lenses, you're able to change the aperture manually on these lenses. But again, if you're not able to change the aperture manually, then I wouldn't consider them a vintage lens, at least not on 2023. This one right here, it's the 28 millimeter lens. This one has an aperture of 2.8. This lens I don't know very well, but it says MC, and I've used it again a lot. All these lenses I use with my film camera, the F100, and I use it with the Nikon FG. Those are my two Nikon film cameras. But this lens, the 28 millimeter, oh, it's actually really cool. So I'll also put it on this camera for a second so you guys can see how good it looks, even if you're making videos like this one. And last but not least, this is another Series E lens. Again, if you ever find Series E lenses, I will keep them. Don't throw them away. Don't give them away. You can see it has a little scratch right there, but not on the lens. So everything looks good. This lens is crazy good. I love this lens. This is one of my favorite lenses. So Series E lenses, they're very well built. I feel like these are gonna last forever, and the glass is really high quality. This is a 2.5 aperture, so Again, at 35, I feel like it's a very versatile lens. It's just not super wide, and you can still use it for portraits. So I feel like it's a really great option, and it makes for a really good lens to, make videos, do photography, all that kind of stuff. So these are the lenses that I wanted to show you. Something that I want to mention that is really important is that I don't use the Nikon branded adapter. I just got this off from Amazon. The brand of this is the Photasi, and you have to find the adapter that it's the N to C. Well, these are F mount lenses that go on the C mount cameras. So make sure that you find the right adapter. Make sure that you're adapting F mount lenses into the C system if that's what you want. But if you are adapting, or let's say you're using a vintage lens in your DSLR, you don't even need an adapter. But if you want to use vintage lenses on your mirrorless Nikon system, you can use something like this. I have no trouble when it comes to having a light leak or any kind of problems, dust getting into the sensor, nothing. So again, I found this one on Amazon. The brand is Photasi. They don't sponsor this video or anything. They don't give me nothing. But yeah, I definitely recommend even getting something like this. So if you have a vintage lens already, I would definitely recommend you trying out something like this with your camera and see it for yourself. Nowadays, I feel like everybody's looking into the sharpest videos, the sharpest pictures, and I feel like that takes away a little bit of the magic of video and photography. And don't take me wrong, I can appreciate a sharp video, really high quality photo, but there's something about these vintage lenses that make me feel like I'm looking at a dream, or when it comes to you're photographing a person, and you're trying to bring some type of how would you say, like a theme to your pictures. I think they're gonna be really interesting. And I don't want to lie to any of you, I use my AC lenses. I use them for the weddings all the time. I sometimes use my vintage lenses, which they come in really handy. They're also a really good alternative when you don't have the money to buy Z lenses like a 50, a 35, an 85, or something more expensive like a 24 to 70. I've got lenses like this. They've come with cameras that I bought, or I bought them. This one still has a price tag. I got it for $40 with the FG, the Nikon FG. So, and some of these, yeah, they have been a little bit more expensive, but I think the most expensive I got is something like this that was like $75. So even if you find it for $100 or less, I think that it will be a really good alternative price wise, and will also give a really nice look to your pictures or video. I would definitely watch reviews on these lenses, before you purchase anything, either if it's a camera or a lens. Don't take me for granted. This is just my experience. This is my advice, if you want to say, but it's just my experience. It works for me. I love using manual lenses, and I don't like to depend so much on autofocus. So yeah, have those things in mind before getting anything. But if you're looking for an alternative, or you want to bring some character into your pictures, video, these are great options, and I would never underestimate a good vintage lens. That's all I gotta say for this video. If this is your first time or your second time, or you've been here a couple times and you haven't subscribed, please do it. This really helps me. It really does motivate me to keep making this video. The reason that I haven't uploaded so many videos is because I've been busy with personal life, and I've been working on like wedding videos and that kind of stuff. It takes a lot of my time, but I would like to make more videos like this because I enjoy it. I like communicating with the people that follow my channel, are interested in my content, and it's fun. It's nice to connect with other people and just learn all together. So thanks again for watching, and any questions or comments, just leave them down here. I'll for sure check them out, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.